O God, the eternal Father, be with us as we go into this business meeting, that we might have your Spirit to be here with us, to guide us and direct us in all that we do. Continue to watch over and protect us throughout this day and the days that lie ahead of us, and be with the many in need of our prayers. We ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I hope everyone has the minutes. Anybody not have your minutes? Okay. Will somebody go get... Okay. There you go. Jack does. Okay. We're good. I'd like for you to... if you haven't already, let's look over those real quick and see if there's any corrections that need to be made. You also notice that we have included the list of credentialed elders. We also broke those down by congregation. So we have 84 elders so far that are credentialed, and also they represent 35 different congregations. And I thought that was very important for us to realize. So is there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, then I will declare those approved as they are. Brother Jay, do we have any new elders credentialed?
Just one.
Okay.
Yes, we've credentialed Paul Cornish.
Paul Cornish. So I'd like to bring Paul before you. Those in favor of sustaining Paul as credentialed elder, please show your hand. Are there any opposed? We voting online? Thank you. Yeah, if you could put that back to 10 seconds, Kevin. I'm going to do my best to make sure we keep everybody participating here. Please, brothers online, I want to remind you that for the prayers and testimonies and time too, I really would like for those online to participate. You are as part of this as those that are present. So the next item I'd like to do is correct 2 mistakes that I've made. Only 2 so far that I know of, or that have been pointed out to me, put it that way. Number one, on Sunday afternoon, I said that there was a new branch that was started in the southeast region in Florida. That was incorrect. There is growth and some movement and some different things, but actually they're short of members right now, and so they actually have not started a new branch. So that was one item. The other item has to do with the what all we did yesterday. So if you'll go to section 2, section 3, page 3. We did a wonderful job electing all the councils and everything, but and we voted on a chairman, but that's kind of where I stopped things, and I did not finish with the officers. I want to remind you that the corporate officers has been, and unless there's objection, we're going to do the same thing that we've always done, that the ones for the conference officers will flow over, and they will be also the corporate officers. So yesterday, Jeremy Stevenson was elected the chairman, and we did not vote on the other ones, and so we have Jason Anderson for secretary. I'd like to ask for a sustaining vote for Jason for secretary. If you would, those raise your hands. And are there any opposed that would like to be secretary when you vote no? No. That passes. For the treasurer is Ray Lane. And those that will vote to sustain Ray, please show your hand. Any opposed? And assistant treasurer is David Webster. I'd like to ask for a sustaining vote for those that vote for David Webster. Please show your hands. For assistant treasurer. Any opposed? And the last will be historian, and that's Danny Height. Please show your hands and vote of support for Danny Height. Any opposed? Thank you very much. It all passes. The other item we have to do next is the Technology Council. Did we get names, nominations for the Technology Council? Do what? Sean is willing. And what'd you say?
We listed Sean Peljon, Vim Horn,
No, Vim wasn't. Vim was on, but he's not going to.
Neal, and Spencer Hughes.
Okay. Do you have something, Mark, or not? Okay.
On the technology?
Yeah, if you do, come on down. So right now we have Sean Teljohn.
So I was just gonna say, so on the technology council, I'd be willing to, that's like for the website and different things of that nature, right?
Yeah,
I'd be willing to help in that if you guys want.
okay. Mark McCormick. Now, we said Spencer, was Spencer, is Spencer Hughes and Andrew Neal, have those been asked? Okay,
Andrew was on last year. I'm pretty sure he's agreed to it this year too.
let's put them on, and I'm gonna put this, the coordinating council, I think, are meeting at noon today, not for this item, but whoever the chairman is selected, you need to put this on your agenda so that you can work with, get that going. So for this, at this point, though, we're going to put Sean Taljohn, Mark McCormick, Spencer Hughes, and Andrew Neal. Was there any others you'd like to add at this point? Then I'd like to call for a sustaining vote on those four. And if there are others that need to be added to that, those can be done through the coordinating council and that council itself. Those in favor of supporting these four, please show your hands. Any opposed? It passes. The other one is the Gathering Council, the new one that we have just selected. And Benji?
I don't know if we have our nominations from yesterday, Kevin. We had Deborah Berquist, Stan Backman, Dylan Levine, and Chris Campbell. In talking with Chris Campbell, he has decided to withdraw from the Gathering Council nomination list. And I would like to add Jacob Roberts and Joe Burkhart. Looks like we got Joe.
Okay, and I think we also said there would be an ex officio member from the domestic outreach. Is that correct? That we would like for them to provide somebody. Was that, did we decide on that yesterday?
Both domestic and international.
That's correct, domestic and international. Okay, that's correct. And so those ones, they'll select those later. So, is there anyone else that we'd like to put on there? So, for those online, we also wanted to make sure you heard that we have, there'll be two others that will be selected, one from the Domestic Outreach, one from the International Council, and then these names that are before you now. So, like to have a sustaining vote on those. And those in favor, please show your hands. Any opposed? And it also passes. I'd like to now go back to the quorum reports. And if, actually, let's go to the quorum one. You got a report from yesterday? Quorum one. Something new we just started.
Goodness. Glad to be among friends.
I love you, brother.
We spent the, for proposed resolution to.
And who are you?
Oh, sorry. I'm Larry Cottrell. For proposed resolution number 2, we suggest to table it. And then we had a lot of discussion on resolution 1, with many questions being explored. God help us see the closeness of your time. How do we become one voice? What is the next new bottle? What are the hindrances that prevent Zion? I mean, the list was pretty extensive, and maybe one of our suggestions might be that we come together as quorums to have a greater discussion to try to narrow our focus as we prepare for tomorrow night.
Thank you. Quorum two?
Jay Havener, Quorum 2. We spent time discussing Resolution 2. We thought that also should be tabled. We are presenting a substitute resolution to number 2.
Okay,
We also agreed that probably both quorums should get together to go through and discuss and come up with a question for consideration on Thursday.
okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, we want to revisit Resolution 3, I think Quorum 1, 2 also. The Aaronic Quorum had a couple of critical words that they thought should be in there, and we agreed with them. So we'd like to revisit Resolution number 2. 3, whatever, the other resolution.
Welcome to my club, man. Okay. We'll deal with that separate, on the substitute?
Yeah.
We'll deal with that here in just a minute. Yeah, okay. No, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, Aaronic Council. Who's here from the Aaronic Council? Mark?
Sorry, I was multitasking. Mark McCormick here. We had a lot of discussion about the questions. We've got a lot, so I don't really probably want to read them all to you because we're going to have to narrow it down. But it goes from different aspects about talking about youth and magnifying our offices and our priesthood. That was probably a bigger portion of the discussion is, like, okay, so with the youth, what does the Aaronic priesthood role have to play with, things like home ministry, things of that nature. I really think that probably does a good summary of our discussion.
Okay.
So we're going to work on consolidating
Okay.
today, I think is the plan, and if anything else new comes up.
Thank you. Yesterday, I was privileged to be in the latter part of the members' quorum, and they were talking about a lot of the questions and things, and there was 4 adults, couple online, and there was 5 youth in that group. And I turned to the youth and I said, I don't want to hear from you. They were being very polite. They were sitting and listening and everything. I said, I want to hear from you. What would your question be? I saved the members for last because I want you to hear what the members came up with. So, Brother John, you got a report from the members' quorum?
In that, well,
Pull over a chair.
Right.
Pull over a chair for him to
all
move
right,
on.
there we go. All right. In regards to the members, we also, thank you, we also discussed Proposition 1, and it was interesting. The youth were concerned about one from Des Moines indicated that they would like to see more youth be involved in their area. They only have 3 youth and would like to have an increase of young people into their congregation so that the youth would have a more vital part. And then we have one young sister that said that she wanted, she asked the question, she said, when will we see Jesus? And I think that we are led by our young people, and it says that we should be led by a child. We also discussed from the adults, and there were different suggestions at this point. One is saying that we need to fulfill the things that have already been required by the Lord. In other words, fulfill the commandments that have already been given to us. And then Brian also explained just what was going to take place on Tuesday night. There were some questions on that as well. The other thing that we discussed previous of Brian being there, and since question number 3 or resolution number 3 is going to be reopened, we do have an amendment that we would like to suggest on that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like for us then to we'll come back to that one. Let's, there's someone that voted in favor of resolution number 3 that would like to bring it back to the floor. Brother Jay? Resolution 3, is there somebody that voted in favor of it? Okay, Jeremy. Jeremy's voted, or asking to bring it back on the floor. And are you seconding that? Okay, I want to, you've already heard why they want to have some amendment. I want to, so we're going to vote now whether resolution number 3 is going to come back on the floor. So those in favor of bringing resolution 3 back to the floor, please show your hands. Any opposed? Okay, then was it quorum 2 that wanted to, okay, go ahead. You got some amendments that we'd like to, changes to it? So we have before you now resolution 3 again, the gathering council.
So it was brought to our attention that the Aaronic Quorum had agreed in principle to what had been discussed on the floor. But they thought there was 2 terms missing in the resolution in 2 places. Can you go up to the the first day and be it further resolved. Okay. So after that first sentence, Missouri area, it should read, and be it further resolved that this council be established for the purpose of preparing to receive and assist saints who gather into the Independence, Missouri area temporally and spiritually. To prepare them temporally and spiritually. Such preparations, etc. And then at the final, be it further resolved, go down at the bottom, okay. That the Lord admonishes the gathering, be not in haste nor flight, but that all things be prepared temporally and spiritually.
Now, I'm going to pull section 98. Does section 98 say temporally and spiritually? Just want to make sure. It says 9E, nevertheless, I have said unto you in former commandments, let not your gathering be in haste nor by flight, but let all things be prepared before you.
So what I would do is put the scripture and then put temporal and spiritually after the scripture.
Exactly. So if we put that after the scripture quote, then we certainly are in order then that way.
Okay.
Okay? That's the
Yeah.
proposed amendment.
Right.
Okay? Is there a second to that? We're going to deal with this one first, okay? Jack seconds that. Is there any discussion on these two changes? Okay, someone from the Aaronic Council would like to address this a little bit more, because it's been asked to expound on this just a little bit of why you think this is important. What you need? You want that bigger? Okay, go ahead.
So the discussion on that was thinking in terms of seeing the examples of when people have gathered in, positive and negative experiences that have been had. And in the idea of gathering, many times we're thinking about the temporal, assuming that the spiritual has already been made. And that may or may not be the case. So if someone is to gather here physically and, say the temporal things are in place, there may be spiritual issues that arise because the spiritual preparation has been made. So that's where the focal point of that has been brought up.
Okay, Brother Vim?
This is just a wording kind of consideration for me in terms of that first resolved with the amendment. Just adding the words temporally and spiritually is not very grammatically, and it just leaves something. So I would like to substitute, and I can make this a motion,
Yep.
probably. Both in terms of temporal and spiritual considerations.
And would you like that as a new sentence after area? Or where would you want
It
that?
could just be, just,
Continuation?
yeah, comma, I don't care, just adding those two words just left too much.
Okay. Did you get that, Kevin?
Temporal and spiritual
Both in terms of
Both in terms of
temporal,
temporal?
considerations.
Cut some of those stage lights, you can see the screen better.
I'm sorry?
They cut some of those stage lights, you can see the screen better.
Yeah, if we could dim those other lights, maybe it'd help us see a little bit better. Now, would you, is the bottom one okay, Vim, or want to do the same?
It makes more sense there just to add them, but
Okay.
however, whatever we think, I inserted the words both,
Okay,
temporal and spiritual, but,
okay,
but the Aaronic Council, when I talked with them yesterday, wanted spiritual first and temporal second. Is that still the case, brothers? Where's Mark?
okay. So they would like spiritual
And then
first
temporal.
and then temporal.
Is that for both of them? Okay,
Okay,
so,
super. We can make those, flop that around. Okay,
spiritually and temporally. We didn't finish out the quote of the scripture. And considerations were
where's that one at? Oh, on the
Should be an S on the end of consideration.
we need an S on the end of consideration. the last one? On the bottom one now, if we go down to it,
It should say both.
spiritually and temporally. And that's after the scripture, is that okay? That's what we. Oh. I think it's referring back, though, about not gathering in haste or flight, and so I think it's okay, if it's okay with everyone else. Okay. A comma after the parentheses? Okay. Way above my pay grade. Okay, those things are before you. We're going to deal with this amendment first. Is there any other discussion on it? If not, then we'll go ahead and have the vote. Those in favor of this amendment, actually be the substitute. We just kind of put it all together here, the substitute amendment. But please show your hands.
No, go ahead.
Do what?
No, go ahead.
Okay, those in favor of this substitute amendment, please show your hands. Any opposed? Okay, it also passes unanimously. John, did you guys want to make a suggestion?
Okay, the members, council also would like to add this and as an amendment. And it says, and it be further resolved, the council established to give a monthly account of progress to be published in the Tidings or any other magazine, and this should be done that all people can be updated. And this was
Would you mind if I change that to quarterly, because we have quarterly is when the tidings and
that
stuff
would
goes
be
out?
fine.
Okay, so they would like, include a quarterly update to be included in the tidings or other results.
Publications, yes.
Benji, first of all,
Motion to bring this to the floor.
yes. Are you making that as a
I
motion?
make that an motion, yes.
Okay, is there a second to that amendment? Jay seconds it? Okay, go ahead, Benji.
John, if you want, mind staying there.
Okay.
Just Benji Pedersen. I'm just thinking ahead for the Publications Council. What are you guys envisioning that update might look like? I guess I'm just kind of curious what kind of information might be included in this. You know, oh, we're trying, we're working towards
Okay.
this, we got it organized, now that we got it organized, what do we
I
include?
think they were looking at the credentials that would be published and what would be passed out to the people, whether it be on the internet or whether it be, you know, but just so our people are updated as to
Okay.
progress.
Can we get a
Con-
quarterly update maybe?
Right,
The quarterly update, that would be fine.
a quarterly update, okay?
Could we simplify that?
Come to the mic, please.
Yeah, and Kevin didn't hear anything.
Okay.
Could we simply, thank you, simplify to say the council establish, to give a quarterly update of their activities with regards to their council activities or their council goals or their council. Yeah, update of their council activities. That covers it all, I think, of what the members were looking for, and it makes it, yeah.
I don't think we need a word established.
To clarify, I didn't hear the original
motion, so if we can repeat that, I can get that typed up if you want to type that.
Okay, do you have the original, how? Good. Thank you, brother.
I guess in the effort to simplify, let me offer this and be it further resolved that the council prepare a quarterly update of their activities and outcomes to be published in the tidings.
Is that acceptable?
I just am going to express concern. You know, the tidings of Zion, you want it to go forward, you want it to come out on time. This is one of those things, I don't know how often this council will meet, and outcomes and activities, those are kind of difficult to quantify given the nature of this council. So I would like it to be loose and maybe have an update to where people can be aware of it and get new information and find resources, but to have them quantify what their outcomes are, and I don't know. So I just, I want it to be a little more vague is what I would petition on behalf of the Publications Council.
Sure. How about this?
Quarterly update.
To be published in the tidings as determined appropriate.
Do we need, I'm just asking, can we just say a quarterly update instead of activities and?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was going back to the members wanting it in the, I mean, it's their motion.
Yeah.
And so, quarterly update, to be published
There you go.
as seems, appropriate or something
Yeah.
like that, so that it's not every time.
So if you can just put quarterly update to be published, just take the, of their activities and outcomes out. As deemed appropriate. Yeah, Jay.
Well, I would, there's another avenue that I think is probably easier for members to get information rather than the Tidings of Zion, and that's our website.
Okay.
Tidings and website.
Yeah.
Because one of the things they're charged with is to put together a packet.
Yep.
And that would have to be posted on the website or where people could access it.
That's very good. Thank you.
Sorry, just one more friendly. If we're looking at as deemed appropriate, I think we ought to just take out quarterly because that would regulate it. So,
Okay. That makes what? And update. Okay. Are we all good now? Okay. Is this okay, John? Yes. Okay. Who seconded it? Would you second it? Is that okay? Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, then I'm going to call, we have some here that can't see this, and so I want to make sure that we have it, they can understand also. And I apologize for not doing that earlier. And be it further resolved that the council prepare an update to be, that sounds like just a single one. Prepare updates, there you go, to be published in the Tidings of Zion and the CRE website as deemed appropriate. Okay? Those in favor of this amendment, please show your hands. Any opposed? Just a second, I'm waiting. Okay, it also passes.
So one of the great things about this week again is that we've involved the Aaronic and the members in our conversations, and I so appreciate both feeling free to bring suggestions to the floor.
Thank you very much. Somebody online? Okay. Okay, the next item we want to go to is resolution number 2. It's on section 3, page 8. What didn't? Well, they've got a substitute. Both said they wanted a table, but he's got a, right. Let me ask a question. So your
I'm
quorum
going
has
to
a
move to
substitute?
table.
Do you have a substitute motion?
Do.
Okay. That's what we want to do then instead of a table.
Okay.
So go ahead. If you got that.
Well, are we in new business or old business?
We're going to deal with resolution 2. It's brought before you
Okay.
right now. It hasn't been tabled. Since you said you had a substitute, I want to call on that first and see
Okay.
if that corrects
All right.
anything.
So I don't know if Kevin's had time to put that in or not. There we go.
Okay, let's go ahead and read it for everyone else though.
Whereas the Land Board has been under the umbrella of the CRE these many years, and whereas the Land Board has indicated the desire to move in an independent course, and whereas it is the desire of the CRE to bring unity throughout the church and throughout all the world, and whereas the CRE desires the work to continue in Latin America, therefore let it be resolved that the Land Board, that should the Land Board choose to withdraw from the CRE wishes the Land Board continued success and offers our assistance in any way we can. And be it further resolved that the CRE will continue to encourage the saints to support the work in Latin America.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second to that? Brother Benji seconds it. This is before you now. Would you like to address it? You would like to speak to it?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. The other, we felt in Quorum 1 that the first resolution was a little bit heavy-handed, and we didn't desire to come off as being heavy-handed in any way, or we did not want to be the schoolmaster necessarily. We recognize that the Land Board has not communicated with us the last 2 or 3 conferences, but we think it's important that we stay unified as much as possible in our missionary efforts across the world. So we, and Benji had been discussing with the Land Board through phone calls, and they haven't made the decision official to move on in their own way and establish their own 503C and et cetera. But that's their leanings right now. So we thought, well, if that's your leanings and you're going to go that direction, this is a bit conciliatory to their wishes, and it brings together, hopefully, a sense of unity in our missionary efforts.
Any other discussion on this substitute motion? I don't want to rush anything. Are you ready to vote?
Wouldn't it be a separate resolution?
It is a substitute resolution. This would take the place, if this passes, the other one goes away. I see some hesitations, and so I'm going to give you a minute if you want to say something. If you don't want to say anything, then we're going to vote.
Doug Smith. Do we need to say anything? I mean, to me, it's kind of still up in the air, and I mean, we've been supporting it so far, and I just felt by the resolution, I think we're kind of stirring a pot that doesn't need to be stirred. I think we need to continue to encourage all people who are sharing the gospel wherever. I just don't know if we need a resolution to do it.
Benji?
I'd like to speak to that. Benji Pedersen. In my discussion with David Schaaf with the Land Board, they, in some ways, the decision's already been made. They're not communicating with us. It's just not formalized. They're still under our tax ID. They've already made the decision, and part of maybe their hesitation in actually making the move is that they don't want to stir the pot with us and create contention. And so the decision's been made. How do we approach this? What would we actually do? I think for us to be able to say, we are okay with this, we're not going to fight against you, I think is making a statement that we want to work together and continue to work together as much as possible, however much they might want to. And so the decision, although it has not officially been made, I think in essence they have. And so what are we left with? We could either make some contention out of it or choose to go against what they might want. This opens the door that if they do choose that way, we're looking for a peaceful solution through it, and that we do want to see that there's good feeling, goodwill between us, and that we don't want to go against them.
Brother Richard?
I've been to Honduras 9 times, and I've been to Mexico, and I have good relationships with people there, and also have an open invitation to the land meetings, and so I plan to continue to do that, so it's not like we're pulling out and have no association.
When, if I can ask, when was the last land meeting you were at?
It's been a while, but
Okay.
but I still get the notices and the invitations.
Okay. From a conference standpoint, I would encourage you
Okay.
to attend, because we have gotten zero information, and I've had people ask what's going on with the funds and what mission trips, and nothing. So if you could keep that posted, we've requested information for the tidings, testimonies, and we can't get anything. So if you could attend those, that would be great.
Okay.
Sorry to keep standing up, but I knew there was a reason why I stood up, aside from what Doug said. In our conversation, David Schaaf and I, he was saying that they do intend to send a letter to their donors, and it would be nice for the CRE to also say that they're not against this. And that was something that he specifically said. That way it doesn't create conflict for the donors, so they know that this is not a splitting in a way that we're going to be two fighting over this. That to show that we're not against them in this decision. So he did express that that would be a very nice gesture on our part.
So the substitute is before you. Is there any other questions or comments?
Brian,
Yes?
Alan Ronk here up in Iowa. It's obvious, I think, that they are going to pull out. I'm not sure that this particular resolution is going to do anything but stir the pot. I kind of agree with Doug. I think we should just leave it be.
Okay. Thank you, Alan, for sharing.
To that point, listen, brothers, we've had a resolution in our notebooks that was a little bit heavy-handed, on my opinion. And I've no doubt that that resolution is going to fall into somebody's hands somewhere else along the way to LAM. And we want to be able to say that, hey, we took a step back, reconsidered our position. We want the work to go forward. We'll partner with you as best we can. But I think just by simply saying the original resolution is going to go away, brothers, it's just like the internet. Anything we write down is going to make it into the wrong hands. But if we can say, well, wait a minute, here's the real resolution, I think that's important.
Brian,
Yep.
Can I get a clarification if we do this resolution, substitute motion, will CRE still be contributing to LAM financially?
So what we have right now is that we do not have contributions, something in our budget going directly to LAM. If somebody made a contribution right now and they just said this goes to missionary work, then it's going to be divided up between the, Brother Ray, missionary boards. Does that include domestic outreach too? Come and answer this question, please.
Anything that has come into the CRE and says missionary work, it usually gets divided out between domestic and international. Usually it's one person who usually does it. And so 1 month it goes to domestic outreach, and next month it'll go to international outreach. That's what's been taking place in the past.
So I need to clarify something on that, because if we get $1,000 this month and $10,000 next month,
Well, it's never been, that way. If it's a large amount of money, usually they'll designate where they want it done. We got a large check, the beginning of the month. They designated exactly where they wanted it to go.
Okay.
And that's what usually happens if it's a large amount of, check for $5,000 even. They'll usually break it down where they want it to go.
So-
But this one individual sends a check every month. It says missionary. That's
Okay.
all it says. So that's why that one I've gone domestic or international.
okay. So if it's
Yeah,
not
the reason-
earmarked, then it'll be divided up. But if it is earmarked, it goes directly to where it was earmarked for.
All right. The reason I asked was because if people are like me, and heaven help them if they are, but if people are like me, it's so much easier to send in a check to the missionary effort than to in this substitute motion. It says, basically, it sounds like, whether that's what it's saying, it sounds like it's saying, we want you to contribute also to the LAM. And so it's like now we're asking the saints to give to two different places rather than send their money into one place and then have a committee, divided up how it's needed. If I'm wrong on that, that's fine, but that's what it sounded like to me, and I just want to bring that point up. I don't like that particular part in there. I think it's maybe clarify how we support, but to put in here that we encourage the saints to support it, then it sounds like, okay, well, we're going to have to write another check, Like I said, it's no big deal.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Ray.
Maybe a little clarification too. Usually anything that's been contributed to the LAM Missionary Board usually comes directly to their treasurer. There is one individual that I get a check usually every month, and they specifically say either LAM, ARM, GEM, or SEAM. And anytime it's been, say the LAM, then I deposit in their account. I let their treasurer know.
And Mark, in answer to your question, this last part says that we will encourage the saints to support the work in Latin America. It does not say LAM. It doesn't, it clarifies that. So if we end up sending Richard down, or we've also got, what's the other 70's name down there, brother? Juan Reyes. If we can do some ministry in that area, I think that we're not necessarily saying send your checks to different places. I would think anyway, unless it's earmarked specifically LAM, but if it says Latin America or something, we can hold that and also be able to send ministry in that area too, so, or to assist in some way. So, sorry, I'm getting messages too from different ones, so it's pertinent. So, any other questions? Changes?
I guess I just got to say this. I don't think this is a desirable situation to be in at all. I don't think any of us wish for land to go away. And that's why I think this statement says, should they wish to, we would not want to be a hindrance to what they're deciding to do. But we want to support that work. We want to see Lamb succeed. And if they would stay with us, we love the unity. We love coming together and being together. So I think our overall sentiment in this resolution is to try to say, we don't want to be a hindrance to you. We don't want to fight against you. We wish there was ways for unity, and I think it's doing the best we can to salvage a situation that we are currently dealing with. We don't have a great way out of this. It's kind of out of our hands already. So in my mind, this is us trying to build a bridge to where there's already a divide.
Brother Larry?
I appreciate the effort that's being made, and I understand why we need to do it. I don't like it being written out this way either. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to vote no, not because I disagree with the direction that's going or what we may need to do here. I'm going to vote no because I think this should be a face-to-face conversation. And I think if it would be possible that the coordinating council and the chairman of the conference make efforts to do that, then maybe we can get the resolution to where we're even expecting it to be through this, but face-to-face.
You know what's going to happen if we aren't together on it. So I'm going to ask you, are you ready to vote?
So in light of that statement, could this be made into instead of a resolution, into a sense of the conference as direction to the coordinating council? Instead of making it like a resolution, say, at the conference, and would like to give this following direction to the coordinating council, and then have the coordinating council be the ones who would act on it, or instead of having it as an action of the conference. I don't know how to put that into a resolution.
Okay.
Or
Yeah, we can just include that as part of the top.
Comes your wordsmith.
Okay. Brother Vim.
Well, I guess I'm going to wordsmith it a little bit differently. I think it's a substitute resolution to the one we have, and so the accomplishment there is to address the other one at the same time. And so I would like for us to go to the therefores. Be it resolved that the coordinating council communicate with the land board to determine what their position is in continuing to affiliate. Period. If the land board, after that communication, continues to withdraw from the CRE, and then what? Desires to,
It goes
yeah.
down to that next sentence, really.
And then just, yeah, continue it on. That way it gets it in the body of the.
Take out continues to and just put desires to. Okay. The question was to Larry if that accomplishes what he wanted, and the answer was yes. Okay. Any other comments? The question is, sent to me, is the official name Lamb Board, or should it be spelled out? The official name is Latin America Ministries Board. We should probably start with that first and then put parentheses Lamb behind it, but if it's okay, unless there's objection, I'm just going to include this with the whole thing. We don't have to vote on this amendment separate, okay? Is that okay with everyone? Okay? Then, Jason, oh, you don't have a, Larry, would you come read just the resolve, well, read whatever you want.
Read it from the top, he says.
Read it from the top.
Whereas the Latin American Ministries Board, LAM Board, has been under the umbrella of the CRE these many years, and whereas the LAM Board has indicated the desire to move in an independent course, and whereas it is the desire of the CRE to bring unity through the church through all the world, and whereas the CRE desires the work to continue in Latin America, therefore be it resolved that the coordinating council communicate with the LAM Board to determine what their position is in continuing to affiliate. If the LAM Board, after that communication, desires to withdraw from the CRA wishes the LAM Board continued success and offers our assistance in any way we can. And be it further resolved that the CRE will continue to encourage the saints to support the work in Latin America.
Are you going to take all the boards out?
No, I'm just going to do a quick little edit if it's okay.
Okay.
If you go back to the top, the word board after lamb is redundant because it's part of, and then, if we want to be consistent, we can just refer to it as the board instead of the lamb board each time in the rest of the document, but I'll leave that up to the body what they want to do.
I think let's say if Lamb instead of the Lamb Board, and just say if Lamb, because it's board, and take out the other boards.
I'm back.
Yep.
Sorry. I hate things where one group tries to tell what the other group is thinking. And that the statement, Lamb has indicated the desire to move in an independent direction. I don't know that they've sent us a letter saying that they would like to move in an independent direction, and I feel a little uncomfortable with that statement. So I would suggest striking that.
They have made that statement.
To us formally in a letter, or people on the board have said things like that.
Okay. I need to take a privilege here, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
I want to clarify, especially because of what Jay has said, that this is going to be out there and that the conference is going to get another black eye out of this because this is here. And I want to publicly make the statement and make everyone aware, even outside of this, and anyone that may read it online, that I am the one who wrote this resolution. And so with that in mind, if they've got problems, they can have a problem with me and not the conference. We have tried for years. When I was on a coordinating council, we have tried for years to get Lamb to come to the conference, to give reports, to get information. We have tried for years to get them to respond what's happening. Over the last 3 years especially, I have tried multiple times, tried to meet, tried to send information to them, tried to get information out of them, and we have not been able to. And then whenever I talked to the coordinating council, what are we going to do and so forth, and they were a lot more loving than what I was. I look at this as a liability for us. If something is being done wrong or if the communication isn't right, I was taking it personal. because of the responsibility as the conference president, not the chairman of this conference, but from a legality standpoint, we had some issues. I also looked at it as a way, again, for us to, why in the world can we not work together? They've got the whole responsibility in Latin America, and we're not telling them what to do or not. All we're wanting is information. Anyway, I am the one that wrote this. And so I don't want the conference, I don't want any of you to receive any negative comments over this, because I am the one that wrote this. I put it to the coordinating council. They had some concerns about it, but they allowed me to put it in the binders for you to consider as a resolution, which you've done. So we have tried for years. And so what we're doing here, and I agreed. I agree with the quorums as they have come back and they have said we need to be more gentle. I think so, a couple of the words that have been used. And so personally, I am in support of this, of how you've written it, and especially with the second part, again, to try to get the coordinating council to sit down with them and hopefully bridge whatever gap so that they stay. I don't want them to leave. And so I would like for that to happen, and if the coordinating council is able to do that, if the new chairman is able to somehow help with that, I am totally, totally in favor of this, how we've got it. I don't want them to leave. I think the ministry in Latin America is so important, and so I wanted you to be aware of that. Thank you for your patience. Brother Vim.
Point of privilege. Well, I appreciate your expression of taking responsibility, brother. In no way do I feel that is something that you need to apologize for. You were just sharing what was on your heart, recognizing we all do that, we all move forward, and so please, recognize that. That's not, it's just the process we're in. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Brother
Going
Doug?
back to where I was, I still would like to make a motion that we strike that second whereas.
Okay, there's an amendment now. Now, let me ask a question, because I was always told that whereases don't end up in the resolution. That's just kind of an informational kind of a thing. And so the resolution is really the only part. But if you want to strike it, this is made as a motion to strike this whereas out of the resolution. Is there a second to that? There's a second. Now we're going to limit our discussion to this here, just on the amendment.
I'm not sure I understand why that needs to be struck, because whether we receive an official certified letter from them or a direct conversation with them, they've indicated that this is the direction they're going. We're just acknowledging that. So I don't know why that needs to be struck.
Okay. Brother Jeremy?
I'm wondering if striking this makes the rest of the resolution not make sense. And would it be better, Brother Vim, if we say LAM members have indicated, instead of saying LAM has indicated as a board, but LAM members have? Would that make it more palatable?
Okay, right now, we're going to stay on the amendment. Do you have a clarification?
I would just say if we wanted to soften it, it would be, we could just say there's been some indication instead of LAM has indicated. That would soften it, but.
Okay.
Brian?
Yes, just a second. We got someone else here first, and then we'll call on you next. Brother
I have a
Paul.
point of inquiry. It's my understanding that the SEAM board itself is organized within the conference, so it's bound to the conference. All the other missionary branches came in some other way. What was that way? Did they present a resolution saying we'd like to be a part of the conference, and that was accepted by the conference? Is that how it came
Yes,
about?
that's my understanding. Vim, is that correct?
Again, my memory, which is what we're going off, because I'm not sure there was any, I can't remember the specific action, but Steve DeVera, who was chair of LAM, indicated that LAM was in a place where they needed to have an organization that they could be housed within because of things, that they were dealing with. And he asked if we would consider that. I'm sure we took some action at some point. I don't know what that action was, but the original communication was a phone call from Steve DeVera, and then we moved from there.
And that's the same thing that happened with ARM. In 1998, we lost we did not renew our 501c3. We wanted to then come under the CRE. We asked the CRE, and they ended up doing that.
Wouldn't it be more simple if that was the case, just to ask LAM, if you no longer want to be a part of CRE, just submit that request and have it voted on here, rather than going through all of these things?
Right now, the amendment is to strike this one sentence. So,
Well, can I be bold and make a motion?
depends on what you're wanting to make a motion on. If it has to do with this amendment, if you want a substitute amendment, or if you want to amend the amendment, you can do those two things.
I was going to move that we table this till the 2026 conference, and then all these discussions can take place and come back with a definite answer.
Okay, you can do that too. You can table the whole thing. Right now, the motion, is there a second to tabling it? Okay, it fails without a second. So,
Brian?
there was somebody online, who we got online?
Alan Ronk,
Yes, Alan?
if we delete this particular sentence, could we also not in the very next sentence and put in whereas if it is the desire?
Oh. Okay, so that if's not supposed to be there.
I would suggest we put the if in there. If you're going to remove that sentence, you're still you're asking them, you're asking if it is your desire, which is not saying that we believe that they're going to leave. It simply believes that maybe there is something we can do. Now, I'd put that in the next sentence. Whereas if it is the desire of the CRE to bring unity throughout the church.
No, not there. No, that part is our desire. But,
Okay, yep. I didn't see that part up here.
so your other option was to put it in there that, whereas if LAM, instead of, this would be a substitute amendment?
Right, if you take out, there has been indications that.
Yeah,
And if we just simply say, whereas if LAM has the desire to move.
okay. Jeremy seconds this substitute amendment. Huh? Let's just deal with the substitute amendment right now. Richard, you got a question on it?
Well, no, I can
Oh.
clarify something else, but since
Okay, let's deal with this here first. So this will take away Doug's, here, so Doug's amendment, if this passes, so, Brother Vim.
Just substitute A instead of the.
Yep, thank you. So this is the substitute amendment before you. Kevin, would you read that?
Confirm, just read the substitute?
Yes.
All right, I might ask for the Zoom call, so
Well, here, I got it.
I got it.
Okay.
And whereas if Lamb has the desire to move in an independent course, and
Okay. We're just going to put it this way here. So is that, we ready to vote on that? Those in favor, please show your hands. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So that part is done. Now we have the motion before you as amended. Do we need to read it again? Alan, are you comfortable with that? Okay. Where's Ben? Okay. We have this before you now. Is there anything else? Richard, did you need to clarify anything? No, I don't need to. Okay. Ready to vote? Those in favor of the substitute motion to Resolution 2 as amended, please show your hands. Any opposed? The amended substitute motion passes unanimously. I want to thank you guys for your patience and your willingness to work together. And I know at times, for some people especially, it's frustrating over words, but sometimes words matter a great deal. I can tell you from the Jehovah's Witness Bible, a comma in the wrong place can make an entirely different position. So, okay. You were laboring through this. Everything's going great. The next thing I'd like to bring to you is the 2026 conference location and date. I was talking to the school, and next year's spring break, if we choose to have it at CPRS, is March 30th through April the 3rd. March 30th is a Monday, so if you want to start on Sunday again, as we've done this year, that would be the 29th. The 3rd is Friday, which is also interesting. That's Good Friday next year, and Easter happens to be on the 5th. And Orthodox Easter happens to be on April 6th next year. How about that? That's interesting. So, what would you all like to do for a conference next year?
I make a motion, Benji Pedersen, that we match the CPRS spring break and have our conference during the week of March 29th through April 4th. 3rd.
Okay. Start on March 29th. Brother Gary Wilson seconds it and goes through April the 3rd, and have it here at Waldo CPRS. Any discussion on that? I'll call for a vote. Those in favor, please show your hand. Any opposed? Okay. Passes also unanimous. The next thing I would like to bring to you that now, and it is resolution number 1. Today I was going to go to the, spend a little time in the Aaronic priesthood too, but one thing that has been somewhat confusing, people I've been asked in 2 quorums at least, that what is it that we're really talking about? So I'm going to be presiding over the service Thursday night. Some have asked, what is the service? And so we're going to have some time here. I'm going to suspend business for right now, and we're going to just have some dialogue together. And I want to share with you some thoughts as to what has brought this to this point. First of all, we have came from Kirtland last year, and over the last 2 years, we're told to listen. We have been learning about this kind of new relationship, really, with the Lord. And after Kirtland this last year, the experience that I had at Kirtland and what the next steps needed to be, we needed to, first the coordinating council had to come together on what was the message that we received. And then that was taken to the priesthood that attended Kirtland. And we ended up coming up with the 4 statements of agreement. That was laboring, and at times I know many of you were involved in that. And then from there we ended up sending it to the congregations for those congregations to accept that. And you know, I'll tell you, our congregation, I got a little frustrated because I thought, how difficult is this? But we spent months talking about it, and our pastor very appropriately said he did not want us to just blow over it. Oh yeah, we agree. And when I was up in Maine with the congregation up there, we spent time really going through and really making sure we understand, are you sure you want to agree to this? And so that brought us then to conference this year and bring us to a point that we were able to really hone in on some of these things, and as a whole group to be able to discuss things. And then I realized, you know, in the last 40 years, we really have never, ever collectively came together and asked God a question. And so the coordinating council and myself, we were talking about different questions. What was it that we would ask? And you know, my first 2 questions that I came up with was, when I thought back to the reorganization, after Joseph was murdered, the question was asked, I was thinking anyway, what they had different than us, they knew that Joseph III was going to be the next prophet. And we're sitting here now, and many people thought, okay, Wally B's still alive, he's going to repent, he's going to come back, he's going to set the church in order again. Some people believed that. He passed away. And so we're sitting here right now, and the question that I had was, do we still look to the Smith lineage, or does God have another plan? And you know, you've been involved in some of these conversations. Is there going to be a 7th man prophet? Or is Jesus going to be the 7th prophet of the church? And we probably split in half on what that is. But I thought, okay, maybe that would be a good question then. Do we still look to the Smith lineage for that? And then I thought of a second question, because I looked at what was affecting us most right now, and I know so I don't want anybody to have to correct me. When we started the independent restoration branches, it did not mean that we were independent away from each other. We were independent from the organized, the RLDS church. That's what the whole intent was. However, from that, over the years, we all have become so independent. We couldn't even have the same name. It's the Church of Jesus Christ, such and such restoration branch. We couldn't have the same bylaws. We needed to have different things, and we became very independent. And how we used our funds and all those things, we became very, very independent. So the next question I had that I was thinking was, are we organized as far as the Lord wants us to be organized right now, or is there something more we can do? And then 2 days ago, I got to thinking about those two questions. And frankly, I thought, those are kind of selfish questions. They're about us. Maybe the question should be bigger. Like, God, how could we better work together to establish Zion? Or, God, how can we more effectively share the gospel with people all over the world? Looking more outward than inward. And so I'm standing before you today, and I didn't really have an answer. What would the question be? Yesterday, John addressed this a little bit, but as we were up at the members' quorum, and these young people were just sitting there listening, I said, I want to hear from you. If you had a question, what do you think the thing that is affecting the church most right now, what is it that you would ask for? Now, I'm talking, there was 3 young ladies that shared. I'll just leave it at that. 6 to 14. 6 to 14 years old. One young lady said, she was from another state, and she said, how could we better reach out to the young people and the young families? Right now, there's only 3 youth in our congregation, and I'm one of them. Went to the next one. How could we be better unified to bring about Zion? Went to the youngest one, and she said, how come people are not healed very quickly? And then she raised her hand real quickly again. How come I can't see Jesus? I really want to see Jesus. And I remembered back to our opening priesthood worship, where it was shared from the scriptures, he is amongst us, but we can't see him. So, we have a wide variety. We've been asked to even ask God, what question should we ask you? I want to have some time here for us to share, and I really, and I shared this yesterday and with the other quorums, because what happens is we start, like even I've done, I give you a big elaboration of my question. What I really am saying, and maybe Kevin can put it up on the screen for us, and I'd like for those online to participate in this, because other countries, I've had other countries tell me, well, whatever the center place decides, we'll be behind that. because we're already together. Seriously. I want whatever is affecting, let's really focus our thoughts, and we've got to boil this down. What is the most important thing that is facing the church, facing us worldwide right now? Can we just come up, really, let's just, what question, how would you word the question? Not the background with it right now. Let's really try to say, this is the question. God, this is the question. Brother Benji, Brother Vim, and let's, if we can put these up on the wall or the screen. We can maybe just add some things. So,
Mine's a little different. Andrew spoke last night. Would you remove the scales of darkness from our eyes?
Mine's not a expression, but a request. So the quorums have been meeting and preparing questions. I think it would be helpful for us to receive a collection of what the questions already are. And then the possibility of, instead of meeting in quorums, we just all meet together during the quorum time since we have no other business as far as I know, right?
right.
That we meet together and just look at the questions that are there and continue this process that you've identified. But I think it'd be helpful to know what the thoughts have already been.
Yep. And both elders' quorums have requested that too, that we combine and do that. So, yes. So do you, from the quorum standpoint, do you have some questions? Now, maybe those questions are a little bit different now after what I've shared with you. So if you have some questions already together, let's put them out there. What my thought process is here, because we've got to get this and we got to boil it down. We can't come together as touching one thing. You know, this is what I'm saying. We have not experienced this before, so we're going to have to, maybe we get down and we got a point, okay, why do you think that's that important? Okay, well, here's why, and we can labor together here. So if anybody, any quorums, they got some questions already that you've come up with, let's put them out there. Those online, if you have not participated yet and you have a question, let's put it out here. Try to be concise. Try to boil it down. This is my question. Brother Jay?
Without going into my notes, one of the questions that our quorum came up with was, what's the next 2 steps, Lord?
Brother Doug?
This isn't a question, this is just a comment on our discussion that we had. We seem to be not quite clear whether we were asking questions about the CRE or questions about the church. There were some questions we were coming up with, well, you know, what's the role of the CRE, what do we do? And then there's other questions about the church in general. And I think that needs to be clarified a little bit. Are we talking about just this group, or are we talking about what do we need to do, what needs to happen in terms of the church? And
that's a great question. In my mind, I'll go back a couple years ago, and one of the things that I felt very directed on is that we needed to start thinking more as a church and not as a bunch of separate organizations. So in my mind, I'm thinking more church-wide, because I invited everybody. I invited everybody to come Thursday night. Now, we'll see who comes, but.
So I'll put a question. Is the CRE a hindrance to the building of Zion?
A little bit louder, I can't hear you. Is the CRE what? Is the CRE a hindrance to building Zion? Brother Larry?
Larry Cottrell, I'll give you a couple from at least some of our discussion. What is the new bottle?
What is the new bottle?
How do we become one voice? Where is their authority in the earth today? Please confirm that to us.
Got something we want to add? And we have members here. We have Aaronic priesthood. You're not limited. We've suspended business right now, so that anybody have anything they want to put out here, you're welcome. After Joseph died, the one big question that was just dividing the church all over the place was polygamy. Was polygamy of the Lord? Sometimes we think a question may be so simple. Brother Jay?
As the church is the bride of Christ, what does the bride lack in her adornment in preparation for her groom?
Stephen? Christopher?
How do we magnify our offices as Melchizedek and Aaronic priesthood and as members in order to bring the needed ministry in our homes and branches?
More simply, one of the ones that was discussed in ours was to show me what to do.
Show me what to do.
Brian?
Yes?
Yes, Alan Ronk here.
Yes?
Is our own pride the hindrance to Zion?
Okay, scroll up, please. Is our own pride the hindrance to Zion?
I propose that what we should do next in our quorum, and my idea was that 2 years ago, we were told, if you really truly believe the Lord wants us to be one, then my question was, Lord, specifically, what are the 1 or 2 steps you need for us to do immediately to help bring that about? And it was just an answer to our commandment we were given. So, Lord, give us the actual steps you need us to take. That was my whole purpose behind throwing it.
Okay. And just to clarify, remember, he said that we had to be willing. We had to be willing.
And to that point, one of the ones for us is, what is it specifically that we are lacking? Help us painfully understand what we need.
Lacking in which way?
Just lacking in general, and then help us painfully understand what we need to be even repentant of.
Okay. Brother Allen?
Alan Teal. I worship with the Miami group. And I'm really disturbed. In the Book of Mormon, Christ said, once you're baptized by one having authority, that you become a member of the church. He didn't have an organizational structure. He didn't have all the stuff that we put in place. He said, you're a member of the church. And then he told the disciples to go out and feed my lambs, feed my sheep. And then he told them how to do that. Gentlemen, we already have the instructions.
Brother Marlon Gwynn asked some of these same questions about the Book of Mormon. And what did the Lord tell him? I've already told you. My feeling is he's already told us. What I don't want to do is to feed the lambs. I'm putting all these roadblocks up. No. Feed my sheep. Minister to my people. Have my people. You've got the church. If you're baptized for the remission of sin by one having authority, you're a member of the church. We're all a member of that church. We have to pay attention to what he's already given us. What's in the way? Look in the mirror and see what's in the way. We're just trying to drum on something that the Lord has already told us. And gentlemen, if he really tells you the answer to those questions, it's going to be painful. Because we already have it. We recite the scriptures. We already have the answer. We just don't want to accept it.
So, Brother Allen, can I ask you, because this is important, and we got two people online. We look back 30 years ago, and there was a lot more, we had a lot more members. So, do you think it's inappropriate, and I'm being very sincere to ask this, because I agree with, like Brother Marlon Gwynn, I've already answered that question. Okay, so do you think it would be appropriate to say, how can we grow the church? Or how can we better, how do we stop this decline in the church? Is that appropriate to do, or is there, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm back to the scriptures.
Good.
Okay. How do you feed the lambs? How do you feed the people to keep them closer to the Lord? I mean, this is what it's all about. How do we do that? We have to communicate with them. Let me ask a question. How many in your congregations have an active visiting program of some kind? Benji talks about love.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to love them back into the, so we're not going to organize them back into the kingdom. We're going to love them back into it, because that's how Christ treated us. He didn't organize me into his being. He loved me into his being. We've got to learn to love these people and quit trying to organize things to the point that we drive people away. We drive people away with this organizational thing, because then we get pride and et cetera, et cetera. No, we don't need the pride. I need the love. I need Christ. When we talk about Christ being in here, he's here. So in my discussion in the congregation, we talked about the lady was given a worship service. If God came in the door, God's already in the door. He's right here. And if the problem is that I don't let him in here, so when I talk, when I interact with people, they should see the Christ. They should see the Christ. I don't have to bring him to, I am. He is in here. And if he's not, gentlemen, we're just not doing our job.
Thank you, Brother Teal. We have two people online. I'd like Bruce Levengood, if you would share first.
This is Kevin. I'll be reading them. They came through via chat. This first one is from Bruce Levengood. Quote, "Are we looking forth for the great day of the Lord to come, even for the signs of the coming of the Son of Man?" End quote. And the second one is from Dawn Agnew. Quote, Lord, would you please help us devise a plan to grow your body, in parentheses, church, end quote.
Could you put those on the screen, please? Okay. Brother Mark?
Continuing the thought from last night on tough subjects, tough questions, I think we could all agree one of the reasons that the room is a lot smaller in attendance is because of interpretation of priesthood. So a question I would offer is, Lord, would you reveal unto us the priesthood? Who is in the priesthood?
Brother Bob? And then
To
Ben.
follow up on Brother Allen's comments, which I thought were very insightful, I would ask the question, how can we better feed the sheep? Evidently, our feeding at this point is not sufficient. We don't reach enough of the people. We don't somehow do a good enough job of convincing them of the truth, feeding them the true gospel of Jesus Christ. So how can we better feed the sheep, all of the sheep?
Brother Ben?
This came via text. I'll be reading it out from Benjamin McLean. Quote, how should our leaders resolve future disagreements without dividing the saints? And a second question, what does each of the RLDS/restoration groups, including the CRE, need to repent of? End quote.
One of the things that we have to acknowledge is we've made mistakes. So the problem is that when we're trying to get to the things that we should do, there's some things that we're going to need to take a look at. So, for example, our bylaws. I think that there are some things that we have commonly accepted that actually have kept us apart because we were so wanting to protect ourselves from what happened 1984 and before. So I think that it would be good to have those kinds of discussions because I'm not going to take the time now, but I have specific things that I think that we are practicing improperly and sometimes unscripturally. And then we wonder why the Lord's not answering us or blessing us in the level that we would ask for.
Thank you. Benji?
Just for us to consider, Benji Pedersen, we could look at symptoms and address symptoms all day long. We got to go back to the disease that is destroying us.
Do you have a question about that?
If we want to quantify that into a question, what is the disease? And you can wordsmith that all you want, but we need to get back to the source of the problem here. Ask the Lord, what is the source of our problem?
Richard?
Yeah, I realize that I didn't ask it in a question. Is what do we need to remove from how we are practicing the restoration today?
I'd like to pause there a minute and actually, I think we're going to get these printed off before this afternoon quorum session. And I think what we could do, yes, sir? I think what we could do is go through and either consolidate some things or really look at it and determine if you want to rate them. Okay, yep, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the core. This is back to the disease part. This is not a symptom. Let's see if we can kind of somehow or another. They're all legitimate, very real questions that we've got here. But let's see if we can boil these down a little bit and say, can we agree this here question is, and I hate to use the word more important, more pertinent? That's probably good. Something here, something to that effect that we could kind of start boiling this down a little bit. Brother Jack?
I just thought a question would be to ask, Father, what is the desire of your heart for us to do?
Now, I'm going to add one more thing then, because like Brother Teal shared, if you see a question on there and the answer, you already know the answer scripturally, you already know the answer, then let's point that out. And so then the question may be more, so for instance, there's a scripture that says, once you've been converted, go convert your brothers or your neighbor. So could we rephrase the question, Lord, would you please convert us? Or, Lord, what needs to happen in order for us to be converted? You know, see how I'm saying this here. So if we see it in the scriptures, then let's designate that. We've got this afternoon, we've got tomorrow during the business session, whatever we have to do to be able to get this thing. And I'm going to tell you something, even from the impress of the Spirit, I think God is super pleased and excited. What we are doing right now is the same thing that the brother Jared did whenever he's out thinking. What is it? The Lord asked him, what is it that you would have me to do that you might have light in your barges? He put it right back on them, on him. He's putting it right back on it. And so the brother Jared goes and he's thinking, And I think it would not have mattered what the brother Jared would have come back with. The Lord would have answered that and done as he requested. And so I think God is really pleased with what we're doing here. He understands there's some struggles we're going to go through. That's great. We're sitting here looking and thinking and going through some of this. So that's what I would like for us to do. We'll print these off. Yes, Brother Jay?
I got a text from somebody from my branch that was on, but he lost connection.
Okay.
It is our desire to protect the faith, preventing us from moving forward in faith and fulfilling those things which we know to be your will.
Okay. One thing I've learned over the last few years is that when there's communication, there's understanding. There may not be agreement, but there's understanding. I sat down with some people from South Chrysler and I said, where in the world are you coming up with this? And they said, well, if you go to the 8th chapter or the Church History, Volume 8, this is what happened. Okay, now I understand where you're coming from. So this is really good process that we're going through. So we'll print these off. We'll get them out to you. And I don't want to take away from the class time today in any way. We're going to be focused on on our class and our response. But then when we get together in our quorums, all quorums, we're going to meet back here this afternoon, okay? We'll all meet here this afternoon. And brothers, it's really important. Sometimes we want to be quiet and we'll let everybody else talk, but we need to all come together on this, okay? So go through the list, do what you can on that, and let's come together this afternoon. It's time for lunch now. Brother Larry, right? Anybody got anything to say before we close? Could you come and dismiss us with prayer and also ask a blessing on our food today? Let's all stand, please. Thank you online for your participation.
Heavenly Father, we bow before Thee, desiring to do those things that please Thee, knowing Thy will for us, how we might move forward in those things that bring about Thy work in these latter days. We thank You for the blessings we have received and how You have worked in our midst and been in our presence. So, Father, we ask Your continued guidance and direction as we talk, as we communicate with each other, as we strive to be one in those thoughts and those things which You would have us do. We pray, Father, for the food which we will be partaking of, that You will bless it, that our bodies will receive the strength and the nourishment that we need to perform the chores and the task of each day. So go with us now. Dismiss us with Thy love. And it is in Jesus' name that we ask it. Amen.
Amen. Doug.
You're still the same by the power of the name El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Erkam Adonai. We will praise and lift You high, El Shaddai. Through the years You made it clear that the time of Christ was near. Though the people couldn't see what Messiah ought to be, though Your word contained the plan, they just